안녕하세요. 오늘 하늘 보셨어요? 진짜 날씨 좋네요.
네, 그러게요. 이런 날은 진짜 뭐라도 좀 깊게 파고들고 싶은 그런 기분 들죠?
딱 맞아요. 마침 저희가 얼마 전에 있었던 비트코인 서울 2025 컨퍼런스, 그 자료들을 좀 살펴봤거든요.
아, 네. 그 현장 열기가 대단했다고 들었는데.
그렇죠. 그래서 혹시 현장에 못 가셨거나 아니면 다녀오셨어도 좀 핵심 내용을 다시 정리하고 싶으신 분들께 오늘 저희 얘기가 도움이 될 것 같아요.
여러 세션이 있었지만 특히 그 업루트 컴퍼니 강승구 부대표님 발표, 이게 곱씹어볼 게 많더라고요.
맞아요. 비트코인, 투자에서 보유전략 패러다임으로의 전환. 제목부터가 좀 의미심장하죠.
네. 단순 투자가 아니라 보유 자산으로 봐야 한다는 건데.
그래서 오늘 저희 이야기를 듣기 전에 그 컨퍼런스 총괄 기획하신 라이언님이 쓰신 리포트가 있거든요. 그거 먼저 읽어보시면 훨씬 더 깊이 있게 이해가 되실 거예요.
아, 그거 좋은 팁이네요.
자, 그럼 이제 본격적으로 그 내용 속으로 한번 들어가 볼까요?
네, 좋습니다. 우선 제일 흥미로웠던 게 미국 정부의 움직임에 대한 부분이었어요.
그거요? 압수한 비트코인을 그냥 팔지 않고 뭐 전략 비축물처럼, 금처럼요.
네, 그런 논의가 있다는 거죠. 심지어 비트코인 액트라는 법안 아이디어까지 나왔다고 하니까.
5년간 100만 개를 매입해서 최소 20년 보유한다. 와, 이게 진짜 현실화되면 파급력이 어마어마하겠는데요?
그쵸. 근데 이걸 그냥 넘길 게 아니라 미국의 그 막대한 부채 문제랑 연결해서 봐야 한다는 거예요.
맞다. GDP 대비 부채 비율이 거의 뭐 2차 대전 수준이라고 하고 고령화 때문에 정부 지출은 계속 늘어나고.
네. 그런 상황에서 기존 자산, 그러니까 금의 가치를 재평가하거나 아니면 아예 새로운 가치 저장 수단, 비트코인을 편입하려는 시도로 볼 수도 있는 거죠.
충분히 설득력 있는 분석인데요. 이게 단순 기업의 보유랑은 차원이 다른 이야기네요.
맞습니다. 잠재적으로는 총화 시스템 자체에 영향을 줄 수도 있는 거니까요.
그렇군요. 그럼 이제 자연스럽게 금이랑 비트코인을 비교하는 부분으로 넘어가야겠네요. 전통적인 안전자산 대 새로운 도전자, 뭐 이런 구도죠.
네, 특히 1971년 닉슨 쇼크 이후에 달러 가치가 불안정해진 그 역사적 맥락에서 시작하더라고요. 근본위제가 폐지되면서부터요.
금 ETF 얘기가 또 중요하죠. 2004년에 승인되고 나서 진짜 가격이 많이 올랐잖아요.
네, 제도권 자산으로 편입된 상징적인 사건이었죠. 근데 비트코인 현물 ETF는 작년 1월에 출시됐는데도 벌써 그 자금 유입 규모가 어마어마하다는 거예요. 금 ETF 운용 자산을 넘어섰다는 얘기도 있고.
와, 그렇게 빠르다고요?
네, 이게 단순히 개인 투자자뿐만 아니라 연기금 같은 기관 투자자들도 이제 본격적으로 관심을 갖기 시작했다는 신호로 읽힐 수 있는 거죠.
역시 그 희소성 얘기를 안 할 수가 없겠네요. 강연에서도 그 부분을 굉장히 강조했죠.
그렇죠. 금은 뭐 새로운 광맥이 발견될 수도 있고 채굴 기술이 발전하면 공급이 늘 여지가 있지만
비트코인은 딱 2100만 개, 끝. 그리고 4년마다 반감기로 공급량은 오히려 줄어들고 이 절대적인 희소성.
바로 그겁니다. 디지털 시대의 가치 저장 수단으로서 비트코인의 가장 강력한 특징이죠. 기술이 아무리 발전해도 공급량은 더 제한되는 자산이라는 거.
그래서 마이크로스트래티지 같은 기업들이 그렇게 계속 사 모으는 거군요. 단순 투자가 아니라 거의 뭐 기업 전력 차원에서.
네. 그래서 강연자분도 스택 개념을 강조했어요. 꾸준히 모아가는 거. 가격 오를 때 사고 내릴 때 파는 게 아니라 오히려 내릴 때도 꾸준히. 적립식 투자, DCA죠.
솔직히 근데 가격 막 떨어지면 더 사야지 하면서도 막상 손이 안 나가잖아요. 사람이니까.
그렇죠. 그래서 비트 세이빙 같은 솔루션 개발 얘기도 나온 거고요. 변동성에 흔들리지 않고 장기적인 관점에서 꾸준히 비트코인을 모아갈 수 있는 그런 시스템이 필요하다는 거죠.
심지어 스마트 DCA라고 해서 가격이 더 많이 떨어졌을 때 좀 더 많이 사는 전략까지 소개했던데요.
네, 결국은 꾸준함과 장기적인 시각, 이걸 계속 강조하는 겁니다.
근데 이런 전략이 잘 작동하려면 결국 사람들이 비트코인을 제대로 이해해야 할 텐데 그래서 그 교육 얘기가 또 인상 깊었어요. 엘살바도르요.
아, 네. 엘살바도르에서는 아예 초등학교 정규 과목으로 비트코인을 가르친다니 저도 좀 놀랐어요.
비트코인 디플로마라는 교재까지 있다고요?
네. 근데 이게 단순히 뭐 기술적인 걸 가르치는 게 아니라 화폐의 역사라든지 인플레이션 같은 기본적인 금융 지식하고 연결해서 왜 비트코인이 필요한지를 이해시키는 방식이더라고요.
그런 접근이군요.
심지어 베트남어로도 번역 중이라고 하니 이게 단순히 한 국가의 사례를 넘어서 확산될 수도 있겠다는 생각도 들고요. 기술 이해도 중요하지만 올바른 철학을 갖는 게 먼저라는 거죠.
와, 오늘 이렇게 쭉 짚어보니까 비트코인을 바라보는 시각이 정말 빠르게 그리고 또 근본적으로 변하고 있다는 게 느껴지네요.
그렇죠. 단기적인 가격 변동에만 매몰될 게 아니라 더 큰 그림을 봐야 한다는 메시지가 분명했어요.
저는 개인적으로 그 투자에서 저축 혹은 보유의 개념으로 넘어가는 이 패러다임의 전환, 이 부분이 가장 흥미롭게 다가왔어요. 생각의 틀을 바꾸는 거잖아요.
맞아요. 저도 그 미국의 움직임 가능성이나 금과의 비교 분석, 특히 그 압도적인 희소성이라는 본질적인 특징을 다시 한번 생각해 보게 됐고요. 그리고 변동성을 이겨내는 방법으로 제시된 DCA, 그 꾸준함의 중요성도 다시 한번 느꼈습니다.
네, 오늘 저희가 나눈 이야기들이 비트코인에 대해 여러분이 갖고 계신 생각들을 정리하는데 조금이나마 도움이 되었으면 좋겠습니다.
어쩌면 이 이야기를 들으시면서 여러분은 비트코인을 또 어떤 새로운 눈으로 보게 되셨을지 궁금하네요.
다음에 저희는 또 다른 흥미로운 주제를 가지고 깊이 파고드는 시간으로 돌아오겠습니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So there's been this incredible buzz, you can really feel it, around Bitcoin Seoul 2025. And honestly, for some really big transformative reasons.
Absolutely. A lot happened there.
Yeah, and for those of you who maybe couldn't make it, which is a shame, or if you were there but just want to really dig back into the key discussions, the really essential insights.
Kind of cement those takeaways.
Exactly. Then you are definitely in the right place. Our mission today is just that. Revisit what really mattered at the conference.
And it wasn't just surface level stuff.
Not at all. We're seeing this really profound shift, I think, in how Bitcoin's being perceived. It's moving way beyond just like a speculative bet.
Towards something much more foundational, a strategic asset, really.
Precisely. Okay, so let's unpack this.
Right. And what's fascinating here, I think, is that this isn't just going to be a quick summary. We're not just listing things off.
No bullet point.
Haha, no. We want to pull out the really crucial bits of knowledge.
Yeah.
Help you understand the why behind these pretty seismic shifts we're seeing.
And maybe even more importantly, the what next.
Right.
For individuals, for companies, even nations.
Yeah, think of it like you're right here with us, maybe grabbing a coffee after the event, getting the inside scoop, we're connecting the dots.
We've done the sifting for you, basically.
Yeah.
Trying to bring you the most impactful stuff
Yeah.
in a way that hopefully just flows like a good conversation.
Exactly.
Okay, so one of the moments that really stood out for me, a real eye-opener at Bitcoin Seoul, was hearing from Kang Sung-gu. He's the CEO of Uproot Company.
Ah, yes, Uproot. Important player.
Huge. They are the first Korean company to officially join Bitcoin for corporations.
Which sounds technical, but it's a big signal.
It really is. This whole initiative, it's driven by MicroStrategy,
Yeah.
The U.S. software giant that holds just a staggering amount of Bitcoin.
The biggest public holder, yeah.
And their goal is pretty clear.
Mhm.
Get more institutions strategically accumulating Bitcoin. We're already seeing it internationally, right? Like
Mhm.
MetaPlanet in Japan, Moon Inc. in Hong Kong,
They're actively buying, adding it to the balance sheet.
and Uproot, according to Mr. Kang, wants to be that bridge here in Korea, sort of preparing the ground for Korean companies, maybe even the government eventually, to see Bitcoin as a strategic reserve.
Laying the groundwork.
Totally. They even built a tool, bit saving, specifically for dollar cost averaging, DCA, making it easier to just consistently stack.
And that ties in perfectly, doesn't it? When you connect Uproot's mission to the bigger global picture.
How so?
Well, it lines up with this major paradigm shift. Bitcoin moving from just investment to a core part of a long-term holding strategy.
Right, a different mindset entirely.
Exactly. And this wasn't just talk. At the U.S. Bitcoin Policy Summit back in July 2024, the signals were really strong. The U.S. government leaning towards recognizing Bitcoin as a strategic reserve.
Wow, okay.
And we're seeing actions, not just words. Look at the decision about the seized Bybit Bitcoin, around 200,000 BTC?
Yeah, a massive haul.
They decided not to sell it. They're holding it. That's unprecedented. Treating it like digital gold in Fort Knox, essentially.
That is a statement.
And it seems to be part of this bigger proposed policy, the Bitcoin Act, the plan. U.S. Treasury acquires 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years.
1 million.
Yep, 200,000 a year, and holds it for at least 20 years. That treats Bitcoin like a core strategic asset, same category as gold reserves.
That's game-changing, if that goes through.
It signifies a profound shift in how a superpower views Bitcoin. Not just tech, not just finance, but a national strategic asset.
Which, again, brings us back to the why. Why now? What's pushing this huge pivot?
Well, part of it has to be the macroeconomic picture, right? It's looking pretty stressed.
Especially the U.S. debt situation. I mean, even Elon Musk is sounding the alarm bells.
And the numbers are just staggering. You look back, maybe $5 trillion in '86.
Then $10 trillion by 2008, $20 trillion in 2017.
And now, $36 trillion in 2024. Just eye-watering.
And the projection for 2025 is debt to GDP hitting nearly 100%. That's like World War II levels.
Yeah. And a big piece of this is the rollover problem. It's like you're just borrowing new money to pay off the old debts.
The credit card trap, basically.
Exactly. And when interest rates are high, like now, that rollover gets super expensive. The debt just compounds faster and faster. It's a vicious cycle.
A financial black hole, you called it.
It kind of feels like that sometimes. And it definitely raises that important question, about the long-term health of fiat currencies.
Is this sustainable?
Right. Because beyond just rollover, government spending is also climbing. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, driven by aging populations, rising needs.
We see similar pressures here in Korea with the national pension, right?
Absolutely. It's a global issue. And the worry is these trust funds could actually be depleted, maybe early 2030s. Expenditures are just outpacing income.
History doesn't exactly offer comfort here, does it?
Not really. You can look back to ancient Rome, debasing the denarius, melting down the silver.
Less silver in the coin over time to pay the bills.
Effectively reducing its value. Or more recently, in 1971, the Nixon shock, ending the gold standard.
Untethering the dollar from gold.
Yeah, before that, $35 an ounce fixed. That put some constraint on printing money. After 71, governments could print to solve immediate crises, often just kicking the debt can down the road.
Removing the brakes, essentially.
Pretty much. Which leads us inevitably to the Bitcoin versus gold debate.
Always comes back to that, doesn't it? How does Bitcoin stack up now, especially with things like ETFs?
We'll look at the gold ETF history, approved in 2004.
And the price quadrupled by 2011. Access really mattered.
It did. Now, fast forward to the Bitcoin spot ETF, January 2024. Boom. Massive demand right out the gate. Something like 200,000 Bitcoin sucked up.
The demand was incredible.
But here's the kicker. The assets under management, the AUM in U.S. Bitcoin ETFs, already bigger than the gold ETFs.
Already? Wow.
Yeah. It shows rapid adoption. And reports suggest U.S. individuals now hold more Bitcoin than gold. Even pension funds are looking seriously at it for the long haul.
The speed is just remarkable.
It is. And this is where it gets really interesting, looking at the fundamental reasons why people argue Bitcoin is, well, maybe a better store of value than gold.
Okay, let's hear it.
The book Real Money Bitcoin by Li Jiangwu lays it out nicely. But the core idea, Bitcoin's overwhelming scarcity.
The 21 million hard cap.
Exactly. Absolutely fixed, provably scarce, can't be changed. Gold, well, it's rare, sure, but we can find more. Technology gets better, we can mine lower grade ore, maybe even asteroids someday. Who knows?
The supply isn't absolutely fixed.
Right. And crucially, Bitcoin has the halvings. Every 4 years, the new supply entering the system gets cut in half, automatically.
So even as mining tech improves,
the rate of new Bitcoin production actually decreases. Gold production can go up with better tech. Bitcoin production goes down. That makes it arguably a much stronger asset in terms of predictable, immutable scarcity.
digital scarcity perfected, yeah. Okay, that's a powerful point.
It really is.
So, if it's this potentially stronger asset, how are smart companies actually getting it onto their books? MicroStrategy seems like the prime example.
Definitely the poster child. They started back in August 2020, and their strategy is just relentless consistency. Dollar cost averaging.
Rain or shine, just keep buying.
Exactly. Embrace the volatility. Contrast that with, say, GameStop buying 4,300 Bitcoin. Okay, interesting, but was there a plan for more? Didn't seem like it.
More of a one-off splash.
Right. The lesson seems clear. Consistent planned accumulation, even through the nasty bear markets, that's key for long-term success. MicroStrategy held strong through major dips, never sold. That takes conviction.
Real diamond hands, as they say.
Yeah. And this whole approach, it raises that important question again, especially for Korea. How should we approach this?
Right.
Uproot's bit saving service, it's built for that consistent DCA approach. Because, as Kang Sung-gu argued at the conference, Bitcoin is really the only digital asset you truly need to accumulate for long-term value.
He was pretty emphatic about that. Prioritize Bitcoin over stablecoins even.
Yeah, his point was stablecoins often just benefit the US dollar system, right? They don't offer that scarce sovereign store of value. He actually mentioned, kind of personally, how hard it's been to find forums in Korea to really talk deeply about Bitcoin.
Interesting. A lack of focused discussion.
Seems like it. Which highlights the need to, set priorities. What should individuals, companies, maybe even the nation be accumulating?
Which leads perfectly into education, right?
Yeah.
If you want strategic accumulation, people need to understand it.
Couldn't agree more. And look at El Salvador. That example is just incredible.
Bitcoin diploma is a required subject in elementary school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Treating it like basic financial literacy, not some weird niche thing.
That's powerful. And you mentioned there's a Korean version available.
There is. Translated by the Bitcoin social layer by Atomic. It's open source, free to download. Seriously, everyone listening should check it out. It's excellent.
We'll link that up.
Great. And the speaker, Mr. Kang, is even translating it into Vietnamese himself, recognizing that in countries maybe with lower GDPs, education is crucial to shift focus from risky altcoin trading to, sound saving with Bitcoin.
It makes sense. And practically, Uproot has that bit saving service using Smart DCA. What exactly is that?
Right. Smart DCA. It's basically DCA, but, well, smarter.
Okay, how?
It uses AI and on-chain data network activity, holder behavior, whale movements, all that stuff to tweak the buying. It tries to automatically buy a bit more when the data suggests prices are low and a bit less when they seem high.
So automatically buying the dips, essentially.
Kind of, yeah. Without you having to obsessively watch charts, the data suggests it might yield maybe 1% better returns over a year compared to basic DCA, which adds up.
Interesting.
But the core message really hammered home at the conference was just Bitcoin is the best saving technology, period, for individuals, companies, nations.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now?
It means seriously considering Bitcoin not just as a trade, but as a long-term savings tool, using a disciplined approach like DCA, perhaps even smart DCA, mirroring what these big players are starting to do.
Yeah. So recapping the whole vibe from Bitcoin Seoul 2025. The core message, you really couldn't miss it. Bitcoin is getting serious recognition, long-term savings asset, national level, corporate, individual. It's happening.
The perception shift is undeniable.
Definitely. And, for those of us who maybe believed in this earlier on, seeing this change, especially here in Korea since the US ETF approval, it feels pretty validating, actually.
Yeah, it does.
Personally, just hearing the depth of the discussions, the conviction, I left feeling really excited, genuinely hopeful about Bitcoin's future adoption here and everywhere. It feels like we're really on the verge of something big.
I felt that too. What's truly fascinating for me, my main takeaway, is understanding how deeply Bitcoin's future is now tied into these huge global economic shifts and policy choices.
It's not in a vacuum anymore.
Not at all. We have to look beyond just the price chart, grasp its role in monetary policy, in preserving wealth long-term, maybe even in national economic strategy. It just underscores the need to keep learning, keep thinking critically.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening.
Yeah.
As you think about all the lessons from Seoul, the strategic buying, the global debt worries, the changing nature of money, how might that change your own approach, your savings, your financial planning in this pretty complex world we're in?
That's the question, isn't it? Lots to chew on.
Definitely. Encourage everyone to keep digging deeper. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.